Hey Spirit Island fans, Matt here with another video. We're going to be doing the Sun-Bright Whirlwind, which is a control spirit that has the ability to flex into majors, but also has a very strong minor power build based on using its full suite of hands to hit the full level of its innate, which does a total of 7 damage across 2 different lands, while also giving you a little bit of control flexibility. It's a spirit that I really like. I think it's a little bit stronger than the community rates it as. It has very low fear generation, though, but extremely strong control tools. And we're going to roll it into France 6, which is a reasonably favorable matchup. Not the best, not the worst. And let's get into it. Okay. We have to add one Explorer for the France 6 effect. Normally, I would add it into the land with the disease, but that's about to build. So I'm going to add it into this jungle with the beast, hoping for beast damage that kills it. Okay. So Sun-Bright Whirlwind special rule means that when you add a presence during growth, you can push an Explorer or a Dahan from that land. This is really strong, right? We can fully clear out this land. It won't build. It's very good at solving small problems, but it's not as good at solving larger problems like existing cities or things that are already a little bit built up. In order to do that, it's either going to have to get down to the bottom levels of its innate, where it can start doing a little bit more damage, but really it can only start doing that once it gets basically down to like the third spot on its track and the fourth for the full bottom level. Uh, the other thing that it has going for it for clearing out large lands is that it has fairly good flexibility about going big for majors because G2 is going to add 4 energy and it has reasonably good power card options, right, on either G3 or G1. So it does have the ability to flex into majors if you're getting to the point where the bottom track one isn't working. That said, early game, not much you can do about the city. We're almost certainly going to be accepting the blight that happens here. So let's start off with a power card gain. And we have some good options here. Elusive Ambushes would allow us to defend this, as would Favor the Sun and Starlit Dark. Both of them have 1 element, but not 2. We really like 0 element cards because I'm going to be starting off going for a bottom track build, which kind of puts you into the place where you're not going to have as much energy. And some of its innates are a little bit on the pricier side, like Tempest of Leaves and Branches. So let's go with Elusive Ambushes. And the reason for this is that I'm going to allow this. So I can use this basically to defend this land, which will kill the town that gets added. The other option is that when I add a presence, I could move this Explorer out and then use Elusive Ambushes to defend here, and then at some point push Dahan into there. I don't really have a ton of good Dahan pushing options, though, other than Scatter to the Winds. Actually, this is kind of interesting. We could do Scatter to the Winds on either this land or this land to push the Dahan in, and one of them probably gets an Explorer next turn, so we can push the Explorers out. I think that's an interesting build. So let's add our presence here, and we're going to push this Explorer into here. And we're just going to play Scatter to the Winds, which is underplaying. And the reason that I'm doing this is that the Reclaim is pretty bad for Sun-Bright Whirlwind because you're not adding presence, and a lot of the spirit's ability, like its power, is gated in the fact that you can push that Explorer when you add presence. So underplaying allows us to delay our reclaim and get to the 4 card play option a little bit quicker. Because once we do have 4 card play options, we can hit this full innate, which when we're doing 7 damage, a little bit of fear, a little bit of control, we're just kind of cooking at that point. Okay, let's see how this goes. Okay, we got the mountain build. I'm going to add the Explorer here because it'll die to the Dahan. And now, Scatter to the Winds. We push Dahan here, Explorer here, Dahan here, Explorer here. So now this land's not building. This land is now a giant problem because it would build 3 towns if it ever builds. So we do need to be sort of thinking, how do we eventually clear this out? But Elusive Ambushes will allow us to full clear here. This will get cleared. We still have 4 towns in our stock. Only 1 town will build here unless we choose to add a presence there, which is, I think, what we are going to do. And I'm going to grab a power card. Interesting. Confounding Mists is on element. at least for the air. And the air is a little bit more important than the sun because we need 5 air to hit our full uh, innate, but only 3 sun. And we're usually going to hit at least one of those air on the tracks. But, you know, it's still a little bit ways away. Here There Be Monsters is very spicy. I kind of like that. It's also 0 cost. That's a little bit important for us. Bloodrust Predators, not super useful. Disorienting Landscape. Uh, Adding a Wilds is very good against France. This is kind of an interesting option. I like this. We can push an Explorer out of here. And then in doing so, we also add a Wilds in so that, you know, we're stopping 1 or 2 Explorers. That's kind of interesting. I'm going to go for the 0 cost one because we went for the more expensive draw last time. Okay. I'm going to use this to push 1 Explorer out. And we're going to play Elusive Ambushes. And we can play another card, another 2 cards if we wanted to. I am going to underplay again, though. Okay. Replacing towns with cities is kind of a neat effect against France. You like having fewer towns to deal with. And the cool thing here is that we can just target this land that's about to build. So it's going to build a town instead of a city. It basically does nothing. Okay. Push up to 2 explorers or towns from a land with beasts. I like this purely just to like hedge against the risk that we draw jungle, right? So we're going to next turn either draw jungle or sands. So right now we have a 50% chance of a huge problem. That said, you know, adding a second one into here, still kind of painful. Like this is not going to be a good explorer no matter what we happen to pick, but it is a little bit nice to just sort of remove that downside risk of suddenly having 5 explorers in the jungle. Okay. And next turn, we have sort of 2 options. The first is to underplay, and the second is to go like full throat down 3 card plays to hit the 3rd level of our innate, which lets us do 3 damage. I think underplaying is strong, and my general view, I should have said this at the top, is that underplaying on Sun-Bright Whirlwind is really strong because it lets you get to that power spike of playing 4 cards all at once. So you play these 4 cards right here, and you're hitting the bottom level of the innate, and then you can use Gift of Windsped Steps in order to make your innate fast. And that's just like a really broken combination, especially because you can use Tempest of Leaves and Branches in combination with it. You're now doing basically like 12 damage across 2 lands. It's just a really strong situation to be in. I do like pushing to get back to the situation at hand. Okay, here's an interesting idea. What if we pushed both explorers into here because we're about to get Dahan defense into this? Okay. I kind of like this. So we're pushing the explorers into there, which we know isn't going to come up. And it's fully defended anyway. So first big choice. Do we kill the city or do we kill all 3 explorers? I like killing the city just to get a little bit of fear. It's kind of hard to come by fear. And as Sun-Bright Whirlwind, we don't have a lot of city killing tools. It basically is the bottom level of our innate or locking into a major or Dahan defense. There's really not much else. So I think I'm going to do this. Okay, we build 1 town. We still have 4 total. And we are very lucky to be able to avoid having had 5 explorers there. Next turn is a stage 2 card, so we don't know what's coming. Might as well add it here. Okay. So we will, if we do nothing, we will build a town from here, and we will build 3 towns here. So that's 4, and the potential 5th one from the stage 2 escalation if it goes into a place like Sands. So I don't love that. So I think we're going to use Tempest of Leaves and Branches to just full clear this. And let's grab a minor power. Ooh. Yeah, I think that's correct. So we got nothing that's on element at all. Unpleasant. Not a big fan of this. Uh, Fear and isolates are kind of nice. Weep for what is lost. I feel like Quicken the Earth Struggles is the best card of these. And Quicken the Earth Struggles' ability to do 1 damage to each town or city is nicer than it looks. Um, so I am, I don't necessarily love these options. I'm gonna grab Quicken. I think it's just a good card. Okay, and we add in presence there to push the Explorer in. We don't have the energy to play Quicken. Very inconvenient. So let's go up to 2 energy and push that Explorer in. Use Quicken. We're just accepting the Blight in this mountain, by the way. I realize I've left that unstated. Okay. Ooh, interesting. We do not have... Oh, we could forget elusive ambushes to do this. So, Years of Little Rain lets us add a presence. Unfortunately, our special rule for adding presence allowing us to push things only works during growth. But, you know, still nice to add a presence. I think let's do this. So ease the drought, and we're going to forget elusive ambushes, which is just a little bit too expensive. And so we can add to either of the sands. Let's add here to create a sacred site. This also gives us the first level of our innate, which is kind of nice. Beast damage, already cleaned out. Okay, we take a blight. We add a town. We have to add to one of these. Let's add here. Just because we have this is more likely to come up because of the coast. And we do get the coastal draw. And now we just have to add an explorer somewhere. Let's add it here. And now we can push 1 explorer. So we are going to be building next turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 towns. That is very bad. That's a number that we are not a fan of. So, and we sort of have our ability to hit the level 4 innate. So we're going to have off of tracks an air, and then we have 2 sun and 3 air. So we would need to draw a perfect card, right? Air, sun, perfect exactly as is in order to be able to guarantee that we hit our innates. But Violent Windstorms is still fairly strong in terms of like pushing stuff out. So it's not, you know, the worst case scenario if we don't hit that. So push up to 1 explorer. Let us... So we actually can't push here because if we push it into there, that will blight. So let's push 1 explorer out of this. No. Let's push 1 explorer out of this land. Okay. And we do not hit what we need to. But we get some good options, right? Drift down is very strong for us. And we can go here. Push that explorer out. And we are going to play these 3 to let us hit the 3rd level of our innate. Oh, we can play 1 more power card. Cool. Here There Be Monsters is very strong. We don't need... Okay, actually. Instead of Here There Be Monsters, let's do... No, because Quicken we can't actually play here. Oh no, we can, because Gift of the Sunlit Air gives us +1 energy. So, here's what we're going to do. Gift of the Sun... Or, sorry, +1 range, not +1 energy. So we are using the 2 support powers, And then we're going to use this to quicken 1 damage to each town or city. And then violent windstorms to push 3 explorers. And we're going to kill town, explorer, explorer. Drift down gives us defend 4, so that's fully defended. The city will die in the ravage, and it will just build 1 town. And this is a slave rebellion turn, which is a fact that I have entirely forgotten. Cool. So, I guess we'll add it here? I don't know. Doesn't feel good. In each coastal land, push 1 explorer, 1 land inland. Oh, nope. In the land with the most invaders, push an explorer town to each adjacent land. So we can do it from either of these. I'm happy to get stuff out of here. Each beast generates 1 fear, great. Push 2 explorers from a land with blight to a land without blight. Let's go. Cities deal -1, invaders don't heal. Okay. I guess we'll add the town there. And now we have to add 1 explorer. Let's add it into here because it'll just die in the ravage. So, the reason for all the underplaying turns is once we get to 4 card plays and can start looping things, this spirit gets truly nutty with power. So I'm excited to show off a little bit of that. Call the Dahanways, kind of nice into France. I don't really have a ton of moons, so I might not be hitting that element anymore, but the ability to replace a town if you can hit it is good. Unquenchable Flames, Badlands is really nice. This is a spirit that likes Badlands. Rights of the Land's Rejection allows you to not build. I think that's a really strong effect, so we're going to drop that. That said, we're probably not going to play the card a ton just because it is totally off element, and this build is based around hitting as many of our minor powers, like our innate from minor powers as possible. So let's, we just need to grab 1 more air tag. We're probably just accepting a blight on the coast. I think that's fine. And let's get started. So, this actually might not be the... Okay, so here's what we're going to do. +1 range, slow to fast, and then Violent Windstorm lets us start pushing things. So, we can push 3 things and then do 4 damage. So we want to use that to push stuff out of our problem lands. So we're going to push 3 explorers into this sands. And we do 4 damage here. And then we do 3 damage here. We're going to use those to kill each of our the explorers that just came in. And then Tempest of Leaves and Branches, we're going to do 5 damage, 1 damage to each of these. And defending here. So now we are not building any towns, and we're taking 1 blight. Okay. We are already taking a blight, so the top option, which potentially has us forced to take a blight, isn't appealing. And permanent elements are nice, but we don't really need them as much as other spirits might. Actually, let me think through this. So next turn, if we go up to 5 card plays, we'll grab a sun, so we'll have a sun and an air on track. And so we're going to have, we'll have 3 air and 2 sun, plus whatever card we draw. And we could bring that up to 4 air, which would allow us to hit the 3rd level of our innate. I think reclaiming is just better. I do think that we might be, let's risk it. Let's just take the blight from the top option, which is only a potential. We're looking for a minor power without grass and without claw. We hit. Push 1 beast to a land without towns or cities. Sure. Gather 1 or 2 Dahan into a land with Dahan setup symbols. I'm going to add them here just because there's a bunch of towns already, and Slave Rebellion will eventually come up. We're going to add it to this town. Okay, add it to the... And then we have to add an explorer somewhere. Let's add it into the land with the beast. And I think we are just reclaim looping again. So let's grab a minor power. Call to Isolation is a great card. So Tempest, Gift, Gift, and we just need anything that has an air tag. Call to Isolation is quite good because it has both. But I do think... okay, if we get Quicken, that allows us to defend this, which is kind of nice. But I think... and Right of the Land's Rejection might allow us to stop this from building, which saves us 2 towns. That's kind of appealing. Let's go... Let's just play Call to Isolation. Okay. So, we are going to use first our 2 support cards, and now Call to Isolation lets us push something to set up. So we could do... I like the idea of using Tempest here and just killing these 3 towns, or these 3 explorers. And then... we can do... We're going to push... Okay. We're going to do this slightly differently. So instead of playing Call to Isolation, we're going to use Quicken. And the reason for that is that we're going to use the extra range on Quicken to let us defend fully here. Tempest to clear this out. And then we're going to use Violent Windstorms to push these 3 into here. And then we're still several turns away from Slave Rebellion, so we're just going to kill the 3 explorers to get rid of the explorer count that France adds. Destroy 2 presents to gain a power card, or forget a power card to gain 2 energy. I'm a little bit energy starved right now, so forgetting a power card might not be the worst thing. Something like Here There Be Monsters is like a card that I'm just not going to play that often. Or Drift Down to Slumber. Right of the Land's Rejection has no use, or no elements at all. I don't hate this. Let's look at the rest of this. We ignore disease, that doesn't matter. And when the land ravages, we get defend 2. Let's destroy 2 presents to gain a power card. We already have like a healthy amount of presents, so... And let's gain a minor power. Haunted by Primal Memories, good fear, good defend. Twilight Fog brings madness. The Strife is very good against France, and it is on element, and it costs 0. Perfect card for us. Ignore disease during builds, doesn't matter. Dahan defense, doesn't matter. Okay. Ooh, and we have to add 2 blight. Very unfortunate draw for us. Let's go here. Each spirit with at least 2 on the island destroys 1 and may discard a power card to gain 1 energy. And that is now end each invader phase. Fortunately, it's getting replaced very quickly. We are not going to forget a power card, though. Forget a power card or destroy 1 presence. Hate that. And what is it asking me to do? Oh, just add an explorer. So let's add there. Okay. And now we're in a pretty good spot. So we can roll all of these, hit our full innate, and start clearing some stuff. But we can't do it slow to fast. Unless we want to reclaim loop this. So we're only going to be building 2 towns, which is in fact extremely bad. So I do think that we actually are going to reclaim instead of gaining all that energy. Okay, spur on with Words of Fire, very strong card. Let's grab our 0 cost stuff. Do we want Call to Isolation? No, I don't think that's useful in this specific case. And Twilight Fog Brings Madness is going to be better knowing that a Slave Rebellion is coming up in 2 turns. So. Okay. Let's go. We're going to push. Okay. Push Explorer. Explorer Town. Clear this. And get rid of those. And then we don't have any easy way to do chip damage, so I'm just gonna full clear out this land. Happy to forget a power card. Probably never playing Here There Be Monsters. Farmers, not a good card. Okay. 2 damage to Dahan in a land with towns or cities and Dahan. Or the next Ravage becoming a build adds a town, but it's not the worst thing in the world for us. And the top part where you add -1 health doesn't matter because we've basically used all of our powers. So let's teach. Ooh, this adds 2 towns actually. I don't love that. Or I guess it is only 1 town. So let's put it there. Add a disease to a land with both Dahan and invaders. Let's go. Each player chooses a different land with Dahan, and each defend 2. Sure. Okay. And we are on a Slave Rebellion turn. So we want to start adding okay. Fire in the Sky. Great card. Let us repeat this loop a little bit. And so the Slave Rebellion is going to destroy a town, add 2 strife to towns or cities, and then everything takes 1 damage per strife it has, and then 1 damage per Dahan present if it has strife. So these 3 are all getting cleared already. These 2 will be in a good place. Okay. This is, I think, quite strong. We can use Call to Isolation to push these out. And then let's go push the Explorer and the town in. 4 damage to full clear this. And then We're going to destroy those explorers. Tempest. And I think we are all set, right? Because this will ravage, but we can destroy this town, add a strife to this. It'll take a little bit of damage, and we can destroy one of these towns. Okay, forget a power. I don't think that we need drift down. Okay. Destroy a town. Add strife. And we had a whole bunch of explorers, or those. If the island is blighted, sorry, on each board, choose a land with towns or cities, add a blight, or we can destroy 2 presence or Dahan in that land to prevent adding blight. I don't like that you can destroy Dahan to avoid this. Let's see what the rest of this is. Destroy 2 explorers among lands with beasts, that doesn't matter. And then in each land with 3 or more Dahan, 2 damage and defend 2. I don't really want to add a blight, is the answer here. We have very little blight as an option. We could destroy 2 of these Dahan. I mean, I don't like it, but we also have more Dahan than we will ever need there. So let's destroy those. Oh, wait. Okay, each player chooses a land with Dahan, 1 damage per Dahan there. Getting absolutely wrecked by this. Each player may push up to 3 explorers or town from an inland land. I don't think that we need to do this. The only thing that's building is here, but it has a disease. I guess, yeah, let's just not do that. Okay. And we have to add 1 single explorer. Sure. And we are at terror level 2, so as long as we kill this last town, we win. So we can easily reclaim to do that. And let us do it with style. Scour the land, call to guard. That gives us the threshold that lets us use this fast. GG. Okay. So, I'm not sure that this is the strongest build for Sun-Bright Whirlwind, but I think it is a strong build. And I think it really shows off the power of that innate once you get all the way to the bottom, and the fact that you can constantly reclaim loop it and use the slow to fast. So in a true solo game, the fact that you can target yourself with the slow to fast and the extra range is a really powerful effect. But in a multiplayer game, you often are going to be wanting to send those to other folks who might be able to use it better. And use like support powers for what they're intended to support someone else. And in that case, this G2 that adds 4 energy, plus the ability to grab a major at any point, is kind of your friend. And the thing that I would emphasize for that, if that's the route you end up going, is that all of the Sun majors are really strong. Go through the major power deck, look at all the Sun majors. They're all really good. And that's the stuff you have the easiest time hitting because of the early Sun on your track. So, let me know what you think of Sun-Bright Whirlwind with the underplaying to rush to 4 card plays build. I think it's very strong, but curious what you think. Let me know.